Hello, Man in Gray here with another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is Peyton Place, a haiku soap opera by David Trinidad, published in 2013 by Turtle Point Press. It's 192 pages long. This book is a collection of haiku poetry about a television show that ran in the 1960s. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the television show, then a little bit about the poet David Trinidad, and then I'm going to read some excerpts from this amusing collection. Peyton Place was a television show that ran from 1964 to 1969 for a total of 514 episodes. It's important or significant for two reasons. It was the first primetime American soap opera, predating Dallas and Dynasty by decades. And it also launched the careers of a large number of then unknown young actors and actresses. Among the people who appeared on Peyton Place include Mia Farrow, Ryan O'Neal, Gina Rowlands, Barbara Parkins, Mariette Hartley, Richard Dreyfuss, Lana Wood, Ruby Dee, Diana Hyland, Joan Van Ark, and Mickey Dolenz, who later became famous as one of the Monkees. Now, there were also some established actors who performed important roles in Peyton Place as well, including Dorothy Malone, Leslie Nielsen, and a non-comedy role, Ruth Warwick, and Dan Duryea. This show was a huge hit when it first debuted in 1964. It appeared twice a week, and it became so popular that in the second season, it appeared they put it on 3 times a week. That's why there's so many episodes. For a show that lasted 5 seasons, there's over 500 episodes. And so that, though, was part of the reason that the show ultimately ended, because a number of actors left the show after the second or third seasons because they were burned out from the constant work of having to do 2 episodes. These were half-hour shows, but they were having to crank out 2 of them a week or 3 of them a week. And a lot of them just got burned out from the constant work. Others were anxious to do something with a little more status than a soap opera. And some were probably just embarrassed by the ridiculous plots and sometimes corny dialogue. The show really declined in ratings after Mia Farrow left in the 3rd season, shortly after she married Frank Sinatra. She was one of the big draws, and Mia Farrow this show really made her a star, essentially, because of that. Peyton Place was based partly on a 1957 movie that starred Lana Turner, and partly on the novel, the 1956 novel, also called Peyton Place by Grace Metalis. The TV show basically jettisoned the plot of both the movie and the book and kept some of the characters and the setting. It takes place, Peyton Place is a small town in Connecticut, and basically a lot of the same soap opera plots that from daytime television occurred on this nighttime show. There were kidnappings, attempted rapes, there was people falling into a coma, people with amnesia, there was adultery, there were miscarriages, mysterious strangers who show up from nowhere, and things like that. Now, the poet David Trinidad was born in Los Angeles. He's a professor at Columbia College in Chicago, and he often, is sort of a postmodernist poet. He often incorporates a lot of pop culture references into his poetry, and this book is kind of the ultimate example of this, because basically what Trinidad did was he watched all 514 episodes of Peyton Place, and then wrote a haiku about each one. And a lot of the haikus are about his experience of him watching this show. So it's not just a plot outline of the show. It's about him reacting to what he's seeing on the screen. So it's very meta, as you would say. And I find it, some of these poems are just hilarious. Even if you don't know what's going on in the story, you can kind of get a sense of what's happening and how absurd so many of the things were. So I'm going to read to you a few of these haiku from this Peyton Place book, and this will give you kind of a flavor of what the book is like. We'll start with one of the early episodes, episode number 6. Small town slut Betty ditches buff Bud to chase Rod, the hunk who dumped her. And then from episode number 62. Through the picket fence at the end of the brick wall lurks the big secret, which is in capitals. Episode number 78. Allison trapped in babysitting hell. Just smack that bratty deaf girl! Exclamation point. There's a deaf character who appears, a deaf kid who appears in the show for a number of episodes, and apparently Trinidad really took a dislike to her. Number 126. The ratings must have needed a boost. Allison's run down by a car. Actually, there's several characters who get run over by cars in Peyton Place. Episode number 235. For Christ's sakes, Betty, Stephen and Anne deserve to know the truth. Tell them. The last two words in italics. We don't know what the secret is. And then finally, a haiku from near the end of the series. This is episode number 503. Don't you hate it when you tell someone you love them and they say, I know? All right, so those are some of the haiku from this book. Even if you don't know anything about Peyton Place or you don't remember the show or whatever, I find them very funny. They're a lot of them are sarcastic and kind of putting the show down. But at the same time, he had to have found something enjoyable about the show, or he wouldn't have sat there and watched 514 episodes. So if you enjoy, comic poetry, if you're into haiku, or you like 1960s pop culture, you'll probably enjoy Peyton Place, a haiku soap opera by David Trinidad. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.